What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
They even defeated one of her split bodies, albeit even that possessed only around 10% of Velgrin's strength. But at the same time, they learned that misusing their might could result in a loss to a lower-ranked foe. Numerous lessons could be learned from the subsequent fights. The world's most powerful creatures, true dragons, displayed extremely specialized, complex magic manipulation. Despite their own magic abilities, they were able to completely outnumber Ultima and the demonesses because of this. Ultima now understands how Velgrind managed to do that while in the middle of the combat. Applying an ultimate skill to your magic was the key.
You can have far more control over your magic with an ultimate skill, right? No surprise, we have no chance of defeating her.
Even if Velgrind was just performing a minimal amount to keep the demonesses at bay, Ultima couldn't then handle it. A self-proclaimed specialist in magic, Carrera found it embarrassing that someone else handled it so much better than she did. Yes, it was embarrassing, but it was also a lucky break. She relished the chance to engage in that battle, and she came out on the other side without experiencing a crushing defeat. Ultima had never thought before that adding a skill's effects to magic may potentially increase its power. After winning this battle, she rapidly began to see new opportunities.
Although we do have a solid basis, we shouldn't rely on it excessively. With a little creativity, we can become even more powerful.
Even though she was the strongest of them all, Ultima had never really craved power. But this time, she genuinely desired it for herself. How much stronger could a person who was already nearly indestructible become if they worked hard and studied to achieve even greater heights? There's no doubt that Velgrind and Guy Crimson had the key to this puzzle. In that sense, Diablo was arguably a wild card because he consistently put his personal interests before everything else. The situation was quite different from Ultima and Carrera, who had never attempted anything before. Testarossa was a different scenario. Even though Ultima was the most inexperienced of the 7 primals, she believed she could compete on an equal footing with Misery or Rain in a fight. When it came to a serious combat between Testarossa and Carrera, she didn't like her chances. Testarossa was flawless and gorgeous throughout. Even though she had a nasty habit of looking down on other people, she was confident. Carrera was conceited and careless, capable of perfection if she set her mind to it but prone to getting bored and phoning it in. What does that mean for Ultima then? She was unable to direct magic with the same precision as Testarossa or to mobilize magic force as Carrera could. In terms of the 3 Devil Lords, she was most likely in the back. She had an abundance of talent, but she never gave anything her all. She shared many characteristics with Carrera, which is why they fought as rivals for such a long time. However, Carrera had recently developed a new hobby, swordsmanship. Ultima became envious as a result. However, that would change today. Ultima was fortunate enough to have the chance to awaken, and she now possessed the power she desired.
Of all of us, I obviously have the greatest room for improvement.
Now that she had this perspective, she found the entire incident to be quite comical. Ultima didn't understand how the Demon Lord could accomplish that, but she didn't care because it was all owing to her master, Rimuru. The only thing that counted was whether or not she could progress to a higher level of existence, and whether or not she could be of assistance to Rimuru. As she followed Agara's battle, she kept wishing. After much contemplation, she finally heard what she believed to be a voice.
I'll try to help you somewhat materialize that wish.
And the result was the ultimate skill Samael, Lord of Deathly Poison. With this ability, Ultima thought she had no chance of losing to anyone because it could identify the weak points of any living thing and produce the appropriate poison to attack those weaknesses. Then she remembered. Wasn't it Diablo's advice to hone her skills and not rely too heavily on her latent power? Around that time, she had been losing frequently to Zijin, so she figured Diablo was just being mean and giving her a hard time. Ultima, however, got everything completely wrong. Despite the fact that he was presumably being sarcastic, he said it with her interests in mind. In essence, he was teaching her that having the appropriate control over your power might make all the difference. And after Ultima heard that, she began to consider a lot of Diablo's other words of wisdom.
You cannot genuinely acquire the strength you have been given by merely using it when you are in need. This is actually true.
Ultima was now firmly persuaded. Soon after receiving her name, she was informed of this, and at this point, she believed it to be accurate.
Actually, aside from when things were truly terrible, Diablo never really made use of the abilities Sir Rimuru gifted him. I assumed he simply didn't consider his adversaries deserving of those blows, but perhaps he had a valid excuse.
Why then not her as well? Ultima made the decision to take advantage of this chance to develop. After all, this man Damrada would be a hard foe, therefore he'd be the ideal target to give it her all.
Diablo is training us by making us fight like this. How ridiculous is that? He truly belittles us all, don't you think? It sounds like Testa will cause us a lot of problems if she learns it. However, it's also possible that Testa agreed to it. But while we're here, I might as well make use of the situation.
Even Damrada, an unquestionably formidable foe, served as nothing more than a training partner for Ultima. She was resolved to defeat him using her ultimate skill, which was the result of her long-held desires, and she was confident that the experience would help her grow. She made a promise to herself that she would succeed, not by using the power she possessed without asking, but rather by skillfully using the ability she had attained as a result of her own aspirations. Then, she reasoned, she could demonstrate it. She would stop yearning about it, and she would actually help Rimuru. The intensity of the conflict was at its highest. Damrada's techniques deflected Ultima's strikes, which had the advantage in power. On rare occasions, he was able to focus his full body's fighting spirit in order to repel the attack head-on. Damrada was known for his ability to think quickly and move without wasting any time. Ultima found it to be very astonishing and fascinating, and it helped her comprehend a lot of things in the middle of the battle.
I see. So you won't feel unbalanced by this type of flow? This has to work on Zijin as well. Zijin was simply overpowering.
Ultima would be thrown to the ground the moment she tried to approach him. Training for battles on the field was one thing, but he wasn't a good practice partner for martial arts. In that sense, Damrada was a lovely, approachable foe and the best opponent for her. Ultima now recognized her good fortune. She could easily repel any attack thanks to her immense magical power, and when she attacked, she could simply use raw force to overpower any foe. She believed she understood this, but it was starting to feel that way now. As both sides became stronger, the battle became increasingly fierce. It was impossible to predict when the battle would end because the powers were so evenly matched, or at least that is how it initially appeared.
I love it. I could never have kept up with Zijin during a training session for this long.
Ultima appeared to be having a great time. Damrada, on the other hand, appeared to be horrified by the entire situation.
You treat a battle with me as a practice match. You certainly look down on me.
But deep down, even Damrada knew it, despite what he said. He would be the one who lost if this continued. Damrada was already giving Ultima everything he had, all of his technique, even if she was still developing. It was too late to take pleasure in this, his only concern was how he would ever overcome her. After all, primals resembled the selected ones of magic. Someone who is capable of creating the physical laws that govern this world cannot be defeated by a half-hearted onslaught. Damrada was unable to harm Ultima with any of his strikes without using the ultimate enchantment alternate. He could use its abilities as if it were breathing since he had spent more than 2,000 years training himself. Damrada had almost forgotten that Rudra had loaned it to him in the first place because it was now so familiar to him. Demons were also subject to specific tests. Their magicule counts have a limit, albeit it appeared to be unlocked at the moment. Damrada, a saint-class character, had more energy available overall than Ultima as a result, which is why he was able to keep up with her.
After all, the more attacks I make, the more my hand is exposed. However, I seriously doubt that any of my more strong finishing moves would be effective against her. Does that mean I have no chance of winning?
Damrada worked incredibly hard to learn his technique, but Ultima was able to copy it with just a quick glimpse. It would have been preferable if he launched an immediate assault to put an end to this quickly, but he was aware that doing so may leave him exposed and susceptible to self-implosion. Ultima continued to launch numerous attacks simultaneously with the same astounding force, and he continued to successfully block them all at once, yet this did not appear to annoy his opponent. Ultima appeared to be pleased.
That's fantastic. Like a textbook illustration.
Damrada became much more frustrated upon hearing that. Damrada had been cornered. He was not only unable to hold anything back, but he could also feel Ultima growing off of whatever new move he made, much like dry sand absorbing water.
Ha ha ha. I can only laugh at myself.
That was true. Damrada was unaware of how scary primals were. From the outside, it appeared as though their skills were evenly matched, but that balance was about to disintegrate. The scales were certain to tip sooner or later as long as one side of the battle kept getting stronger. That was the sobering truth, and the time had come.
Now I'm finally starting to get it.
The shift in Ultima's mood was obvious as she yelled it. She had been reserving her powers up until this point so she could concentrate on copying Damrada's movements. Now that power had been released, 6 pairs of featherless, bat-like wings that were a brilliant luminous purple appeared behind her.
Let's go.
The 12 wings then started to move simultaneously, morphing into various shapes as they moved toward the direction of Damrada. Some formed fist-like mounds, while others were as pointed as needles and as thin as blades. It was difficult to even try to run away from them, much less try to deal with them, because of the continual shifts. When the fists crossed each other, Damrada, who was attempting to parry the wing, was blown away. The power was unmatched by anything that had come before. It was too strong for Damrada to cancel it out, and it was growing quickly. She could literally make herself as powerful as she desired because there was no longer any upper limit to her magicule count, and there was no indication at all that this rapid increase would slow down.
I adore that kind of expression on the face.
Do not tease me, young lady. Even though you have incredible strength, you still can't hit me.
Damrada had needed to concentrate harder than ever before to fend off that assault. He appeared unaffected, but on the inside, he started to feel a strong sense of urgency. There was no way to win if this kept up, but Ultima didn't leave any room for error. Damrada knew he'd have to resort to desperate options if she didn't, so he prepared to poke one open himself. Damrada's leg was punctured by one of the wings. Although it appeared that he had failed, his plan had been successful. A race prone to boasting about its mighty power, such as the demons, was equally prone to arrogance. Even Ultima would be caught off guard by this, and if Damrada could see it, he would have won.
I assumed you would continue to avoid me. Or did you become fatigued?
Ultima relaxed her attack and started teasing Damrada with a sly smirk. His limbs were struck by her flying wings, but not his organs.
I am aware of that. You are all powerful. That is why you look down on us. But in the end, you dig your own graves.
Damrada was certain that his strategy would work. Then, while acting hurt and unconscious, he launched an all-out attack against Ultima.
Holy smash fist!
The skill that employed alternate to condense all of his fighting spirit as a saint into a single attack was his strongest finisher move. It would be able to permanently extinguish even the most powerful evil demon, and without a body to possess, Ultima the Primal would be forced to disappear. Damrada thought he had won, but he did not feel the effects of his victory. He was going to kill Ultima when he suddenly experienced a chill. A single wing was all that disappeared. Before Damrada could see it, it was too late because it appeared to alter its shape and imitate Ultima herself.
Poison smash fist.
Damrada's chest had been punched by Ultima.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Edgar Fuentes, JV, Dirty Old Hobo, Gonsi Direco, Thomas, Jay, Christ, Juan Ignacio, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Jerry Sladek, Stone Larone, Alfonso Smith. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.